Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brandon, your trusted realtor, and I'm coming to you with another great episode. Today, we're going to be talking to you about post-election, coronavirus, and real estate. So, as you all know, the election is in our rear view, or at least we think it is. As you know, we are in a very weird place as it relates to 2020, and the way our democracy has been handled is just another thing to add on to all of the craziness that 2020 seems to be bringing us. And this also means that market forces are watching keenly to see what happens in politics as it relates around Washington, D.C. And that, of course, as always, is going to really dictate how the market moves here and there. More importantly, it will dictate interest rates and what interest rates are doing and what individuals choose and how they make a decision when it comes to selecting a home and the amount of money that they'll be able to leverage when they get a home. Now, pair this with the most recent news that there is at least a patent coming from Johnson & Johnson about the vaccine, and there's Pfizer is determining that really quick. So if you haven't already done this, go ahead and hit that like button. So, because that really helps the channel. It explodes the YouTube algorithm, lets people know that I'm out here in this ecosystem providing valuable content. And while you're there, you might as well hit that subscription and the notification bell. All right, let's get back to the content. Pfizer is determining that they have a vaccine that's at least 90% effective. There's a tug of war of information and news, all which seems to be brewing to the perfect pot of tea regarding what real estate will be doing in the next 6 to 12 months. So as the economy continues to improve, and one thing to note and to underscore is that home sales continue to boom. The October's data is in from Realtor.com, and they report that home trends are selling higher and faster than even in September. They're seeing at least a 12% increase in values across the country. Also, there is some concern overall about a cooling off of the market, but I tell individuals that you shouldn't allow the risk or the potential of a cooling off to dictate your decision on buying a home, right? Typically, we always buy in the dip. Not that I can necessarily say that this is a true dip, but it certainly is a dip for interest rates and a great opportunity for you as a buyer to dive into the pool and to begin to invest. Remember, the intrinsic value of owning a home existed before the pandemic, and it will exist after the pandemic. The reality is that the question becomes is whether or not it's a good time to buy. Is it a strategic time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Is it a strategic time for you to sell that property? As it relates to the condition, as it relates to the status, is it a good time to buy? As it relates to your credit, as it relates to savings, as it relates to programs that are available for you to take advantage of. Now, for the United States, the median list price for homes was $350,000. That's up 12% year over year, with days on the market showing at 53 days. So that's actually down 20% year over year, 20% days on market. So although these numbers are really impressive, at least to me, they also underscore one other valuable metric, which is active listings. Active listings is down by 38%. So if the median home values have increased and sales are increasing as well in these times, to me, life does a lot of things, but one thing life does is it gives you clues, and you have to look at the clues and what the numbers are telling us. Now let's peel back the layers of this onion a little bit more and look at mortgage rates and what mortgage rates are being done. Freddie Mac recently reported that 30-year fixed rate mortgages dropped to 2.78% for the 12th time this year, and rates have hit a record new low. The fluctuation in mortgage rates that we're seeing is an indication of the elections and the pandemic, and that's really to be expected when we combine those two forces together. The good news here is that everyone can benefit from what's going on in the current environment. If you own a home and you're not interested in selling your property, you should be looking into the opportunity to refinance that property. To the Mortgage Bankers Association, they have noted that 88% year over year increase in refinance volume. By refinancing, you can take advantage of lower rates, and those lower rates mean that you will pay less in your monthly mortgage payment each month. That also means that also one thing to consider is that many lenders will also take the costs associated to refinancing that loan, and they will wrap that money back into the new loan that you're creating. So there's a great opportunity there for you as it relates to that product. Now, one thing to consider if you are a current homeowner and you used a down payment or closing cost assistance program is that you want to go back and read the fine print of that program, because typically those loans that are no interest, no amortization, and they have to be paid back when the loan is paid off. What that means is that that also applies when you refinance a property, because a refinance pays off the original loan and you create new novation. That new novation, or the creation of a new loan, means that you pay off the old loan. And so the terms of that down payment assistance ends. And so if you got 20 or 10 or $15,000, whatever that amount is, at the time that you refinance a property, you'll have to pay that back. So make sure you talk to your lender so that way you can talk through that, and that you can underscore completely what your baseline costs are going to be. Because that can impact overall, terminally, whether or not you can refinance. If you have an additional $20,000 that you have to roll into or wrap into the mortgage, or that you have to pay down, something to consider. Mortgage Bankers Association data also provides information about purchase applications and purchase application growth, which are the number of applications that have been received from individuals that want to buy a home, has decreased for the fifth time in 6 weeks. So if you look at the weekly counting or the weekly numbers, there's been a slight drop off in the number of applications that have been received. My estimation is that this has been expected because of the seasonality and the seasonal adjustment, because we're moving into colder months. But the historic highs are still there. What the Federal Housing Administration is reporting is that they are seeing a decrease in total applications from 11.7% to 11.1% week over week. And so what this says to me is that these are minimal changes or minimal decreases in the number of applications, and again, more than likely attributed to seasonality. And and at least a small portion of individuals are reacting because of the inventory, and or they are waiting to after the holiday season to begin the homeownership search or to sell their property. It should go without a surprise that the VA home loan product is actually increased, because it's one of the few zero down payment programs that's still available in the ecosystem. And so the number of applications for that program have increased. So they've gone from 11.4% to 12.2%, which is a notable increase week over week. So the decision, as always, to buy a home is really been based not only on on what's personal to you, but really in part of this pandemic. We're using a different decision calculus. And as we get closer to a vaccine, the question becomes, what is the new point of adjustment for individuals, and what are the values that we have to take into consideration when we want to buy or when you want to sell a home? So it's important to not only be aware of where things are going, but how the news around us is impacting the real estate market, notably the elections and this pandemic. And so with this, hopefully this information has been helpful to you to give you some insight that the mortgage market is still moving. There's still a significant number of mortgage applications or purchase applications that are in the ecosystem. There is some cooling off, but that cooling off is relative to the seasonality that we're accustomed to seeing. We've noted that sale volume has increased from the month of September to October, and that we're seeing record highs across the country. Notably, we're seeing also increase in home values in the DC region and in the mid-Atlantic region overall. All of this says that it's trending toward an increase in value. We are always cautious that the increase or heightened trends in values, especially these sharp increases, could mean that there could be a popping or a bursting of the bubble. Many of you all will have a realization or understanding of history that when the last time this cooling off or bursting of the bubble occurred, it really did not impact Washington, D.C. proper. You really didn't have an impact until you got significantly out of the beltway, until you got more into the Bowie and Upper Marlboro area. And many of those places or those homes now are recovering from being underwater. I say all this to say to underscore the fact that there's power in home ownership and there's power in having an asset. And it is really about making smart decisions, leveraging the information that's available, and then executing on that information. So hopefully with that, you will like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And I am Brandon, your trusted realtor. I look forward to being your source and your resource for all of your real estate needs. Take care and talk to you soon.